All right, Daymon Woodruff, you are on Driven to Ride. Thank you for being here, sir.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to chat with you here. Let's just start from the beginning. What do people most know you for? What would you say is maybe your claim to fame?
Well, currently I'm president of the Sturgis Buffalo Chip, which there's a lot of details that are involved in that position, but most importantly is really just that I have to remember our mission. And luckily for me, that's to throw the best party anywhere for the nicest people on the planet.
I love it. And you really did this year. I'd say it was pretty wild. I got to spend a fair amount of time up at the Buffalo Chip. So thank you for having me up there. It was a hell of a time to say the least. So
Oh,
um,
good.
what
Curious to hear what stuck out, but I'll let you ask the questions.
Well, I mean, just the sheer number of people. I mean, to answer your question, the first part, that was the most surprising thing to me. And every day there was more people and more people. I'm like, this has got to be it. And then just more and more people showed up. And what you said about the nicest people, I mean, that's 100% true. I mean, never going to Sturgis before, you always hear kind of stereotypes, or maybe you're a little nervous about just what to expect. You don't know what to expect. But everybody seriously was the nicest people. You could leave stuff in your tent, without thinking twice about it and go out for a nice ride. If somebody, needed help, they got help as soon as they needed, whether they, tipped a bike over or just needed a hand somewhere. So I think that mission was followed to a T this year. So
Well, that's nice to hear. A lot of people allow those stigmas to get in the way of them actually to come and experience it for themselves. And you can't really put words to it. And if you have an idea of what it is before you actually go, it's usually that idea is blown away. Your expectations are usually not what it is. And it's a real shame that people sometimes let stigmas and expectations or stereotypes get in the way of going and having a real good time.
agreed. So, but you probably didn't have any of those stereotypes because you've kind of grown up around Sturgis and the Buffalo Chip, haven't you?
I was born under the main stage.
I believe it. I believe it 100%. Tell me, like, what it's, a little bit of the background, just to kind of catch us up, how you are involved, and you've been involved with the Buffalo Chip for so long, and what it's been like growing up alongside it.
That's the Buffalo Chip is where I got my real education. I did go to school, but it's the real life experiences. My mother raised me out in Seattle area and would send me back to my father for summer visitation. And a lot of those stereotypes that you hear are just that we talked about just a moment ago still persist from some stories that happened in the early 1980s, and that was bikers got a little rowdy in City Park in Sturgis end of the 70s, early 80s, and the city and a lot of the citizens decided they didn't want them, and they
Hmm.
kicked them out of City Park. And that's where Rod Woodruff, my father, came into play. Is that he went outside of town and said, well, we'll just have a place where people will feel welcome to do what they want to do, and we'll stay out of everybody's business, and we'll bring in some national music, and we'll have a good time together out here.
Yeah.
And I grew up every summer coming out and working. I started pulling grass, and now I've graduated to pulling weeds.
That's probably the first bullet on the job description for president, I imagine.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, relationships, sponsorship, activations, book and entertainment. It's a full year-round gig for about 20 of us, and then we ramp up to about 500 throughout the year.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to ask because I mean, even just you're not just having a campground full of motorcyclists and RVs and cabins and tents and everything. Not only are you having national entertainment, you also have like the logistics of food and drinks and bathrooms and showers, and I mean, you kind of run a small city to a degree.
Very much, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And the very first thing you have to do in order to start an event like that is just commit. It's
Hmm.
very much like raising a kid, I think. You've committed, you have a baby, they start to gain a little bit of confidence and momentum. And eventually they gain their own momentum, and you're just along for the ride. At that point, every little bit by every little bit is just heading toward a destination that you have at some point so much momentum that you can't get off the train. You're on your way.
Yeah, you're just along for the ride and the momentum's carrying you. That totally makes sense. Does it get a little bit easier every year? Does it get a little bit harder every year, or is it like new and exciting challenges every year to put on the best party anywhere?
Yeah, it's different. I think you have to be you have to be willing to problem solve and be dynamic. You have to enjoy that in order to be in the event and entertainment business, because every year poses new events, new activities, new relationships. It's constantly forging and changing throughout the year. And if you don't like that, you're in the wrong business. You have to, it requires following up afterwards, debriefing, brainstorming. And then, of course, as you're putting all this together, all of the little issues that you have to work through along the way can become big issues that you have to be willing to work through. And
Sure.
and yeah, it's exciting and it's engaging, it's dynamic, and that's kind of the fun of being on the inside as well as on the outside. You get to show up and escape your daily lives, but you don't realize all of the hard work and the dynamic environment that's required to make it happen.
Sure. Yeah. And at the base of it, it's all about, motorcycle riders and two-wheeled riders and stuff. Can you tell me kind of how you got involved, in motorcycling?
Oh, sure. I didn't get involved in motorcycling uh, as a passion until probably fairly late in life. I went on a 5,000-mile road trip with my father
Wow.
about a week after I got my endorsement, and maybe 2 or 3 days actually. We went down the east side of the Rockies and came up the west side and then crossed back over and did a big loop that way. And I think early on I was more into the entertainment side of it.
Okay.
And of course, we've got both music and motorcycles as common threads that touch everybody's lives. I mean, you don't have a everyone has a story of how music touched them, whether it's you remember exactly your first concert with your best friend or the mixed tape that you made for the girl in seventh grade or whatever it is. There's
Right.
a
Right.
story with that. And once you learn to ride, it's the same thing. You automatically have a bond and common ground to meet with other motorcycle riders on. And although that experience itself is very solo, I guess, when you're
Hmm.
riding you have a lot of personal time. It's the moments before, the moments between, and the moments after where you come together as humans and just like, express what an exciting ride you had or you add to the stories. And so the human connection part that's built around that solo experience is also community driven. It's the reason why I think people are drawn to the Buffalo Chip is we're a party and the human connection is the base of all parties.
Yeah.
And here we give them an opportunity in the most unique ways possible to connect as humans through motorcycles and music.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, and what was surprising to me, it wasn't surprising, but like when you see it in person, it was kind of surprising that I think I saw license plates from every single state and then Canada on top of that. I think the only one I didn't see was Hawaii. Um, do you know how like the furthest somebody has traveled to come to the Buffalo Chip by chance?
Oh, I don't know what the furthest is. I know that we have visitors from all 50 states and over 22 countries.
Wow.
It
Okay.
truly is the largest music festival in motorcycling, and it's an international draw.
Yeah, that's super cool. Cause yeah, like I said, I saw a couple of Canadians. I saw a Swiss flag, so that was kind of random, but I know that Europe has a lot of passionate motorcyclists, so it was cool to kind of see people from literally all over the place coming together. Um, how has the Buffalo Chip kind of changed and evolved, over time with your involvement in it from starting pulling grass?
I said pulling grass, but I meant cutting grass and pulling weeds. But however you look at it, change is just a necessary part of everything. And if you're not willing to do it, you
Sure.
you might as well just die. And but you can't do it. You can't do 180-degree changes. So it happens little bit by little bit, and over those little bits of turning, and just it requires risk taking.
Hmm.
Every little change requires risk. You're going to get some negative feedback, some haters, some trolls, and sometimes you just got to do it anyway, because what that little bit of change does is it changes cultural perspective. It keeps you young and fresh, which is really important if you want to just stay relevant to the times. But how I've seen it change over time is, I mean, it was literally a sausage party. If you look at a photograph of 1981 in front of the stage,
Sure.
there's one girl in that audience.
Oh my God.
And Rod has really stepped it up over the years in recognizing that in order to throw a good party, you also have to have ladies want to come. So that includes like up in the amenities. Not everybody wants to sleep in the dirt. You know, we've got the RVs, the cabins. We've got, you can still sleep under your lean-to if you want to. There's shower houses. Like you said earlier, it's a full city
Hmm.
for 2 weeks out of the year. That's probably the largest change that I've seen. Also, the level of entertainment has really upped. You know, you're talking about Rod basically took on a legacy of City Park on maybe with vision, maybe without, but he didn't just take on City Park, he elevated it to the next level. So that's bringing in larger and more relevant acts every single year, so that you again stay relevant to the times. Those are
Yeah.
two probably of some of the major changes. If you look back at our history, that first 1981, there was no electricity, there was no running water,
Oh,
there
geez.
was none of that. I joke that like early on we had a water tank on the hill and we had PVC pipe running down, and then there was a horizontal piece of PVC pipe with holes drilled in it and a shower curtain between, and one side was men's and one side was women to take
Jeez.
showers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Rod says, "Well, no, that was our first improvement. That wasn't the beginning. That was, we were already starting to make improvements at that point."
Yeah, that was the step up from the get go, man. That's pretty wild. And yeah, you really have like, I mean, it like you said, it's a full city. There's so much going on over the course of the 2 weeks. What's your favorite part of like the rally at the Buffalo Chip?
Daredevil Wednesday is my favorite part of the Sturgis rally,
Okay,
and
good.
that is because it's just a beautiful mess. Like, we create exciting chaos. It's entertaining. It's thrilling. It's all the things that'll make your mouth drop and also make you think, "Damn, this is why I'm alive." You
Sure.
know, just to write this moment into my story rather than the moment of me sitting in my cubicle at work, or fights with my coworkers or whatever it is. And this year in particular, so we did a few things. We have the stunt riders. We
Hmm.
also had Blake Willinda walk a high wire over the amphitheater. We smashed through 1,200 cans of Monster Energy with battering rams on our mini bikes. We had confetti cannons, and Sean Ives strapped himself to the top of a limo and rode through two walls of fire. And these are just things that don't happen every day.
Not usually, no. These are a little more than your usual shenanigans, I would say.
Yeah, and so that's why it's my favorite day, Daredevil Wednesday. It's also in the tradition of Pappy Hoyle knew that in order to have a good time, you needed to raise the bar a little bit. He kicked off that very first Sturgis rally by smashing through a wall of fire on his motorcycle, and
Yeah.
so there's some historical, you know, throwback going on to our
Yeah.
daredevilism.
Well, and so it's kind of cool to see that even the president of the Buffalo Chip can smash through some Monster Energy. So
Yeah,
Um,
I've been told that before. It's nice to know that even no matter what your position is, you can still have an inner child.
yeah, oh, for sure. And that's, it's, I think inner child is kind of the best way to put it. I mean, you see that, and I think, it's one of the reasons that everybody's so nice is because you really do escape your everyday life. You guys don't live in the real world out there. It is like, it's another planet. I mean, really, because everybody I think comes from their job or their it's either like a high stress job or they save and scrap all year to come out and ride their motorcycle and come out for 2 weeks and just have fun. And it is such a uniquely positive experience. I think that was the biggest surprise for me. Just how kind of together that sense of togetherness that everybody's here. Hey, we're just here to have a good time and we're not here to ruin anybody's fun, no matter how wild it gets.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's
Yeah.
just
So,
about
oh, go ahead.
it's a well, it's about the party and human connection, like you said. I think, and I've said this before, as humans, we're trained to look for every moment in life where we can come together, and we call those parties. I mean, you start from pre-birth parties, celebrations for announcing the gender of the child, the party on the weekends, the birthday parties, graduation parties, uh, your corporate parties, whatever. We're trained to have parties.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we look for every opportunity, even all the way up to the great party in the sky, as our ultimate goal. And so, people come together. When you have a party, you need good people, you need a good reason, common ground, and you need I don't remember what the third one is at the moment, but I had the recipe is good people, good times, and common ground.
Love it. Um, to get back to the business side of things a little bit, what's maybe something that surprised you as being the president of the Buffalo Chip? That's like, man, I didn't know I signed up for that.
This last year was, I mean, as far as choosing events,
Hmm.
I was particularly surprised by the bare knuckle fighting championships that we had.
Yeah.
To be honest, we've taken a lot of risks and done strange things over the years. Snoop Dogg being one of them. The bare knuckle fighting championships, I didn't have a lot of faith and confidence that it was going to go off, and it absolutely surprised me. It was huge. And the other thing is that there was some sort of prediction that there'd be a lot of aggression in the audience afterwards because it's a
Mm.
fight,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
there wasn't. Yeah, people were in good spirits, good vibes, and generally excited by what happened there. And Conor McGregor coming out and um, showing himself on stage, it was a nice surprise. And I, sometimes some events like that where we do them anyway, not knowing the outcome, and then the outcome is great. That was one
Yeah. So,
example.
so you didn't know that Conor McGregor was coming out to the Buffalo Chip?
Not until the day before.
Wow. And he just decided, he called you guys up and he's like, "Hey, I'm coming out."
He actually made a post, "See you tomorrow," on his
Oh,
Instagram.
what? I don't
And
even know
we-
what you do with that. It's like, is he serious? Is he actually going to be here? I mean, like, yeah, of course we're going to let him in, but man, that's pretty wild.
yeah,
And
yeah, he
and that
did.
made
He
like
did.
national news.
Yeah, yeah, he did let a couple of us know on the back end, but our first
Uh,
indication, or his first indication, was an Instagram post that said, see you guys tomorrow."
Jeez. That's
Uh,
cool though, man. That's cool. So, well, talking about, being the president, taking risks, growing up, around the Buffalo Chip. What's in store next for the Buffalo Chip? What do you see as the future of the Buffalo Chip?
the only consistency in life is change,
Sure.
and I haven't gotten my crystal ball to work yet. I, I think, as I said earlier, that we have to continue each year to take small risks.
Hmm.
That is probably the short-term vision for the chip is that we continue to take risks every day so that we can continue to stay relevant, continue to put new things in people's hands, and minds and give them new experiences that they can take home to make part of the stories of their lives. And don't have anything specific for you other than change. Those little bits of change keep us young, and they're
Sure.
needed. And we'll continue to focus on just throwing the best party anywhere. My job, really, as president, is to make sure we put happy, smiling faces on otherwise plain, boring heads.
Love it. Yeah, and I mean, I've it was my first experience at Sturgis, and a first experience at the Buffalo Chip, and I definitely left smiling and got some fond memories. So, Damon, thank you very much for talking with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.